Alrighty. So hello, everybody. My name is Mariana Hernandez. I am the Chief of Staff for Mayor Bazzi, and I have with me Wayne Hoffman, who is one of our consultants from Wade Trim Funding Scout, and he has been working with us and our city engineer, Ali Dib, on various grants. And today we're here to discuss the Community Development Block Grant. The Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery, which is related to the floods that we suffered in 2021. Here are some of the applications and the program that we're hoping to get funded for the city, okay? If you have any questions, please try to hold them until the end of the presentation, and then we will take any questions or concerns that you might have. And now I'm going to pass it on to Wayne, and he will begin the presentation for us.
All right, well, thank you, Mariana. We will have a very short presentation to kind of go over where we're at in this process. Just to give a little context to this, this is related to the flooding in 2021. There was a federal disaster declaration that was made by the president, and that establishes the eligibility for this program. All of Wayne County under this particular disaster is eligible for funding. There's a little under $20 million available for infrastructure activities, and just under $3 million for planning activities. We're talking about the planning activities today, and projects must demonstrate a tie back to the disaster. In total, the city has submitted 5 applications. 3 of those were for infrastructure. Those are working their way through approvals. The city has done everything on our end to get the state the paperwork they need. They are reviewing it. It is taking a while. Today, the topic is on the planning grant, so we also submitted 2 planning grants. So that's what we're here to talk about today. We're not going to talk too much about the infrastructure grants. We actually had this public meeting a year ago. We combined these 2 applications into one planning grant, and we had to separate them. One of the reasons we separated them was to get more money. The state asked us to separate them. The maximum grant is $300,000. They asked us to separate those so we could actually get more money, so that's good. But we had to have another public meeting because we separated those into 2, so that's why we're here tonight. So to summarize the projects that were selected, and this particular first project has been a objective of City Engineer Dib since I've known him. Get a capital improvement plan for the city. This helps us make decisions on where we should be investing our capital funds across the board, not just relating to stormwater, but across the board. It helps helps the city prioritize where we should spend, where we should get the most bang for our buck. But to include the tieback to the disaster, we are looking at resilience. So stormwater systems, how do we manage stormwater, both by retaining it in holes that we can dig, retaining it with green infrastructure that we put throughout the city, improving outfalls to Ecorse Creek, and making sure the water can move so it's not stuck in neighborhoods. A couple other areas that have been of interest are watertight manholes, which we have looked at. So this will help the city identify where we should make the next steps, where we should make the next investments. And this is extremely helpful in my role helping the city find other funding. If you don't have a priority and you don't have a capital plan, it's tougher to compete for federal and state funds. So we are looking forward to this as an opportunity to build for the long term. And it will also identify some short-term projects and short-term opportunities to pursue additional funding. The second project that we selected and submitted for is an update of our community master plan. And the last update of the master plan was in 2007. A master plan basically sets the future land use for all parts of the city. We've had a lot of changes since 2007, a housing crisis. We've had major flooding that has resulted in the need to demolish certain homes. And, the city has changed quite a bit in that time. So this is a great opportunity to fund the master plan. Most communities, I shouldn't say most, but, Best practice is to update this every 5 years. So we are seeing this as an opportunity to receive other funding, no match required to do this. We will review, it would review zoning ordinances. So looking at, how we're zoning our community. Do we have enough zoning for industrial? We may need to, diversify our industrial and manufacturing base where we can. We are a heavily residential city, and things like that. So this is the second project that we've selected in the master plan. And these are both conditionally approved by the state. We are working through getting them all the information as they need it to make the CDBG administrators happy. And that is moving along. And with that, I will move to the public comment period.
Thank you. That was very short. And we also have our city engineer on Zoom, so he's also available to help answer any questions that you might have. Go ahead. Can you walk up to the mic because we are recording it? I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yes, Kurt Whitmore, Ecorse Creek Committee, Watershed Steward Committee. I have interest in this watertight manholes covers that you mentioned. Is that it to be applied in the flood area? Is that the idea behind that, or?
Citywide, I believe.
Yeah, citywide, but prioritizing the flood area. It is one of the recommendations that have been developed in various studies for flood zone areas to have airtight manholes. So that is something that we would look into exploring. Again, the city has never looked into it before, so the master plan would help us determine the cost, how many of them, and which areas truly needed. So, yeah.
So at this point, you don't have really any specific plans regarding that? Okay.
That's what this is hoping to get us, is the money
Okay.
to get the plan done for us to know
Okay, it's just for
exactly
the-
what to
For
do.
the planning, okay.
Yeah, so this is a planning grant to get the funding to know what the city has to do to move forward.
All right, in the master plan, amongst the things, you mentioned a review of ordinances. This is long overdue. I mean, 50 years ago would have been a great time to implement some kind of changes on construction within the floodplains of Ecorse Creek. We've allowed any style of home to be built, some with basements, some with slab foundation, and some right along the creek with both basement slab configuration. And it just seems to me that if we would have started a long time ago with a requirement of a 3-foot crawl space, that I don't believe anybody has ever been flooded beyond a foot or two. But when you have a slab, when you have a basement, a foot or two of water around your house is major damage. And a crawl space might get a little damp, might have to be dried out, but the total damage would be minimal. So I don't know if we could maybe incorporate that into an ordinance somewhere. And just from this point on, at least, let's build some flood resilient homes. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whitmer. Go ahead.
Hello,
Hi.
I'm Carla Catalano. I was from Kingsbury. I was just very curious about, you said changing the rezoning ordinances. Be more specific, please. What does that entail?
So, if you look at zoning ordinance, what you can do in each zone, so residential versus commercial, a lot of those are out of date. A lot of times you need to update those to, address current realities. A good example, it's not quite pertinent here, but I think it's a vivid example, is like marijuana stores, or renewable energy is another one that, that's an emerging topic that, changes how your ordinances are written. Another thing that this would look at is future land use as well. And, as I mentioned, a few traumatic events, the flooding, the housing crisis, that can change zoning, whether, you might have an area that was once single family and it makes more sense to be multifamily. You might have an area that was once, a commercial or industrial, and now it's mixed use. That's the type of thing that I speak to when I'm talking about zoning and ordinance updates.
Okay, so you're considering changing established functioning single resident neighborhoods into commercial multi-use for multiple families?
It would heavily depend on context. And the other thing with a master plan update is that the public is involved. So, there are opportunities, and quite frankly, we need the public to be involved, to say, we want this, we don't like this. So that is part of the process as well.
Okay, I'm speaking because on my street, it's an established single-family home residential neighborhood, and we, the neighbors, like it that way. We want to keep it that way. And there is a proposal to change that, to put up multi-family commercial, 2 buildings that have 24 units, and it's not even big enough to handle that. Our neighborhood, the streets, the water, the utilities, and the way our neighborhood functions, it's not sustainable or stable for that, and we don't want that.
So the master plan kind of is looking at the rules that you have. This wouldn't impact that particular case, especially if it's being considered now. But a master plan update can address how that is addressed in the future.
Okay, and I'm sorry, sir, your name again?
Wayne Hoffman,
Hoffman, Hoff,
1 F and 2 N's.
1 F and 2 M's, okay. MMA?
MANN, yep.
MANN, okay. And I'm sorry, where are you from again?
I'm a consultant with Wade Trim.
Wayne, I'm sorry, Wayne?
Wade Trim.
Wade Trim. Yep.
WADE? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Does anybody have any more questions or concerns? I do want to add one thing. So the amount of funding that we're getting for the master plan is not enough for a full-blown master plan, which is what we are aiming for, but it will help cover some of the costs with regards to that. But I believe the last time that the city engineer and I looked at it, the type of master plan that the city needs, which will incorporate a lot of public engagement and feedback, is about $500,000. So this 175 would help us cover some of the costs associated with that master plan. But yes, we are looking into a much broader spectrum other than just the flood zones as well. So I wanted to also bring that up. I don't know if the city engineer wants to add anything. Ali, raise your hand if you want me to, or if you want to say something.
What year? I've lived here 30 years. I haven't seen nothing done. When? Because my neighbor said to me, because they'll spit all the ideas and the money will just go away. Is that true too? That the money you're trying to get is just?
In this case, no. It will eventually make to the city. We are working as hard as we can to get the state what they need. So there's a process with this particular pot of money. It comes from the federal government, goes to the state, and we have to do the work. We actually have to secure agreement with the state. This is, and I'll give a little more context. This is disaster funding that in Florida, they use every year. Every year, they're getting billions of dollars. In Florida, they're very good at it. In Michigan, this comes every couple of years. So this is a program that the state has to start from scratch every once in a while. So that creates challenges. There's a lot of new people involved that, they're learning the rules and trying to fly the plane as they make it. That creates issues and challenges for us to get the funding. This is long overdue, I agree, and the planning aspect is really important before we can build anything. We can throw tons of money at projects, but it's not going to work if we don't have the actual project design and know what it's going to do. The city's limited to an extent to how much it can impact the flooding on the creek. Other than digging a huge hole, which would be hundreds of millions of dollars, and that is almost outside of the purview of the city. But the city is making every effort it can to do what it can. So that's all I'll say with that. We're seeking a lot of smaller, I shouldn't say small because a couple $1 million is not small, to do a variety of projects. There's no one silver bullet for the city to do. So we're trying to expand, solve these dual culvert bridges. They're not really bridges, they're culverts. They call them bridges, but we're trying to, improve the flow through so the water can get out. We're looking at ways to improve the channel. We're looking at ways to retain water in different ways. So it's not one thing. We have had some pretty good success getting authorized for money. Now our challenge is to get it here. And that's where our efforts are right now.
Now, with regards to timing, again, the grant, we've already been at this for about a year. So I believe that we have probably another year or so until we finalize all the paperwork. And again, the master plan itself also takes about a year for it to be completed with all of the different aspects that you have to go through and all of the outreach that we have to do for the community. But again, all of these projects are happening simultaneously. So in the next 3 to 4 years, there's going to be major changes happening in various areas of the city and with various different projects that we're working on. And I know our city engineer also has his hand raised. So Ali, you can go ahead and speak now.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, first, let me start by saying I'm sorry I wasn't able to be with you tonight, but you did such a great job. In addition to what Mr. Hoffman indicated, please keep in mind that this is one of many projects that the city is involved in to address the wider issue of flood mitigation throughout the city of Dearborn Heights. So when we talk about update to the master plan, it isn't about changing the neighborhood's allocation. It's more like, to start with, we haven't done many updates to our zoning map since last time we updated the master plan in 2007. And we all know we've done quite a bit of zoning updates to the city, Ford Road and elsewhere, Inkster. So this is putting us back, bringing us up to date, so development can proceed forward. In addition to that, on the flood mitigation efforts, we wanted to update our standards and take advantage of the flood areas that we know of, since we know we have 2 areas of flood mitigation to address. So devices like updating our standards with the backflow preventer devices, with green infrastructure, with, again, as the gentleman indicated, update to our standards to allow a certain type of construction within the flood area, within the flood zones. And we know the FEMA flood zones have been modified quite a few times since 2007. As a matter of fact, I believe they're being modified as we speak. So this, again, is one of many efforts the city is seeking. So we haven't abandoned anything else. So the work with the Corps of Engineers, the work with the County Drain Commission, the work with other agencies are still taking place. But this is in addition to. So we're seeking every available funding to allow us to do what we need to get done. So again, this is just one of many efforts that the city is undertaking currently. So if you have any specific questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Dick, thank you.
He can only hear you from the mic, sorry.
Sorry about that. This is Carla Catalano from Kingsbury. I want to say thank you for explaining that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And I remember the objection to the zoning change that you had at the planning commission, and I sort of agree with you, as you probably know.
Thank you.
Okay, if no one has any more questions, I do want to encourage all of you to attend the Ecorse Creek meeting tomorrow. We will have a group that's going to come and participate in the meeting, and they're going to present another project that we're collaborating for the North Branch Ecorse Creek pilot update presentation. So we have been selected for a 1 mile project for flood mitigation and different things like that in collaboration with Stantec and
River Community Conference.
the Down River Community Conference, yes. And Stantec is like their engineers right now. So they have a project that they're going to present as well with a mile portion of the Ecorse Creek in our city. So again, there are multiple projects that are happening. There's a lot of collaboration with various different organizations. And since the mayor and the city engineer started working here and the floods happened in 2021, the Ecorse Creek has not stopped being one of our priorities. And I think this is the year when we're starting to see some of the projects and all the communication that we've been doing come to fruition. So a lot of these projects are starting to happen, and they're happening simultaneously. So I encourage all of you to spread the word, share with your neighbors. If you're affected, let them know to reach out to the mayor's office or the city engineer to ask for updates, or attend the Ecorse Creek meetings. We try to update them every so often with what's happening in the city. Oh, yes, the meeting is at 6 o'clock tomorrow at the Westwood Community School District at 3335 South Beach Daily. And Kurt is one of our members of that commission, so he can also speak about their meetings. Yes, they meet the fourth Wednesday of every month.
It's at the board office, school board office.
Mhm. Yes.
Familiar with that?
Never been there.
Oh, okay. All right. You are South End residents?
Yes.
So you're here because of flooding? Okay. Well, we've been working on it. So, yeah, come tomorrow, please do, if you can.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say that the board offices are north of Annapolis
They're north of Penn,
and north of Penn.
north of Penn Street, traffic light is at Penn, there is a light at Penn. We're almost a block probably north of that on the east side of the beach station.
Are they well attended?
On a regular
So,
basis, we don't have much of the general public attending.
But everybody's mad when they're flooded out.
Right,
Yes, yes.
when there's water in your basement, you're there.
Right, otherwise you're not there, okay.
But yes, again, I encourage all of you to attend. Another one of the projects that we have, that we got awarded again, is the FEMA demolition project, which is those homes that are right adjacent to the creek that are the ones that get impacted the most. For years now, we have been demolishing some of those houses and making them into green spaces. So that project is ongoing. I know that we just got awarded for 2 other rounds of that grant. So that's with our Community and Economic Development Department. And again, we're trying. Every opportunity we have to help the residents, we're trying to apply for those. But I do encourage you to attend the meetings, getting forward, share your opinion. And again, we're always here if you have any questions. And that's about it, I believe. If anybody has anything else, anyone on Zoom with questions? No?
Thank you.